We went to Vietnam this summer as part of a trip with the U.S. Institute of Peace, and these were our core mission parameters that we wanted. Visit various museums looking for MIA artifacts, travel through provinces with high MIA cases, meet Vietnamese families who are also looking for missing loved ones from the war, and meet Vietnamese military veterans that may have any information about American MIAs, and then a potential artifact exchange. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. These are some of the veterans and family members that we met. The fellow on the left was a Vietnamese veteran that served on Han Mai, which is an island in Thanh Hoa province. He had never been interviewed by the US government before, and the Vietnamese provincial group there brought him to us and allowed us to talk to him. He did witness the crash of an A-1 Skyraider while he was on the island, and that individual was subsequently returned just a couple years ago in a unilateral turnover to DPAA. This is Han Mai Island. That's a satellite a tactical image taken in 1967. And these are the cases around Han Mai that we looked at. So there's 10 aircraft, and those are all the missing men. You see the reds are recovered cases. The bottom picture is Jeannie on the beach looking out at Han Mai. That was the closest we could get to where her dad is located. We believe he is right behind her shoulder in about 70 feet of water with his crew, 2 miles offshore. So this will not be our first trip to Vietnam, or our last trip, or was our first trip, won't be our last trip. In the Thanh Hoa Provincial Museum, they have artifacts on display. I asked them, could I look at the artifacts? They opened up the case, and they allowed me to examine flight suits, boots, helmets, ID cards, blood chits, whatever I wanted to look at. We laid it out, we took pictures of it, and I asked them if they had anything in storage, and they said, yes, we'll be right back. And they went downstairs. They came back up with a plastic clothesbin that you can see there, with 2 helmets in it, also some original ID cards. Those ID cards, the one on the left was on display, and as I examined it, I told them, this is a photocopy. Do you have the real one? They went and got the real one for us. I've contacted this family, spoken to this family. They have not had contact with our government in about 15 years. Their mother, this was a rough issue, as it is for all MIA families. Now they are re-engaging with the government, and they've already reached out and received their case file. So that's just another positive out of this trip. This is in the Thanh Hoa Museum. We are standing over a mock-up of the Dragon's Jaw Bridge, where dozens of American aircraft were lost. And that's me explaining to the Vietnamese some information about their province and things that we are looking for. One of the museums we found in Quang Binh province, we found a pistol, and it was inside of a holster. So I asked them, can I see the pistol? They opened up the case. They took the pistol out of the holster and handed it to me. And the pistol had this name tape on the side of it. It says Lieutenant Archer. So Lieutenant Archer was a Marine Corps helicopter pilot that went down and was captured. He also returned home. So this is an artifact now that we don't have to look for anymore. We know it's a POW. We know he came home. So it's one thing that can be taken off the list of potential MIA artifacts that are in museums. We have some other examples of this, but I'm just trying to highlight a few today. This is a helmet that's in great shape. Is this a POW's helmet? Is this a MIA's helmet? The last American pilot to be shot down in the war was a fellow named Harley Hall, who has been accounted for. However, when we took that helmet and we posted it on a Vietnam War artifact site, we had people come back and tell us, that's puking dogs. They're out of Oceania, where we live. And we sent that to the base commander and the staff over there, and they were like, that's a puking dog's helmet. So is that Harley Hall's helmet? Is that another man's helmet? We don't know, but it's something that would be nice to be able to follow up on. Lastly, I want to talk about REFNO 0899. He's one of yours. Sergeant First Class John Robert Adams, they called him Bob. He's on the blue poster there on the far end. Bob went missing after his helicopter went down west of Dak To, which ended up being Laos. And as everybody else was extracted from the site, Bob was left there. He was wounded. He was still alive, but nobody knows what happened to him. Shortly after that loss on November 8th, 1967, at 14:45 in the afternoon, by 1800, the U.S. military was pummeling that helicopter with 20 millimeter fire, 500-pound bombs, other things like that. What happened to Bob? Well, we don't know. But in the 1990s, Stony Beach and previous iterations of DPAA had visited museums, and they didn't get the cooperation that we got on this trip. They were able to write things down, in some case take a photograph through the case. And in this particular case, they found his ID card in a museum. Well, we wanted to know, is it still there? And if it's still there, how do we get it back? So when we went to the Ho Chi Minh Trail Museum, which was dark and it was hot, we used our cell phones as we were looking around, the light on our phones. That's the first ID card we found. And we asked, can we see it? The picture on the left, that's the Vietnamese colonel that ran the museum. She took her shoes off, climbed in the case, and she's like, is there anything else you want to see? So we started asking for all kinds of things that were in there, and we took a lot of photographs from that. But John's ID card is there, and this is it. The picture on the left or the right was a picture that was sent to his family. So that's all they had, and now we know that that ID card is still there. And we have expressed to DPA that we would like to get these items out of the museum. They 100% agree, and they're working efforts to do that. And we're going to talk one more thing about that. This was one of the most moving experiences that we had when we were in Vietnam. This is Repat 99. We were there when they did an honorable carry of 2 sets of osseous remains, hopefully to be identified as American missing personnel, to end some families' grieving and uncertainty. And this was on the tarmac in Da Nang Airport. So Vietnamese, the Det from Hanoi, everybody was there. Very moving experience. This is the last thing I want to hit on regarding our trip to Vietnam. We took a wallet with us. The fellow in the top picture there, standing next to me, is a Vietnam vet. He was with 9th Infantry Division. So he was working out north of the Mekong Delta. And in 1969, he got that wallet that's in that picture right there. Inside that wallet are numerous letters home, information about about this fellow that carried the wallet, including his receipt for his AK-47. And so we took that wallet with us to Vietnam, and you see this general sitting there next to me examining the letters. The first thing he did was ask me, can I have it? And I said, well, this is our first day, so I got to hang on to this. We're going to meet a lot of other people, and I want all of them to see it. So we held onto that wallet, and after the Repat ceremony, I met with the detachment and the general counsel for the U.S. there, Ms. Burns, and I decided that we were going to turn the wallet over to them. And the words from the veteran were, get something good for this. So I explained that, and I stressed that we wanted something related to an MIA. And a couple of weeks ago, I got a notice from DPA that there had been an artifact exchange on a high-level visit. The wallet was what was presented from the U.S. side, and in return, one of the items that the U.S. received was a dog tag of an MIA, an active case. So it met that veteran's expectations. It met our expectations. Hopefully the family's going to be notified and be able to have that dog tag. So this veteran now says, I have some more stuff. If it worked out good, he was going to give it to me. If it worked out bad, it wasn't. So if you guys are sitting on anything that it's time to get rid of, it's time to let go, please reach out to us, reach out to DPA, share that with them. It may help bring John Adams' ID card home, for example, if we have something that we can exchange with the Vietnamese. When we were in Vietnam, that general that I showed you the picture of looking at the wallet, he's the head of the Family Martyrs Association. He was in D.C. this past weekend. We took him to the Vietnam Wall. We read him the names of every soldier killed at Hamburger Hill. We read the names out loud of MIAs up and down the wall. He saluted them all. And while we were there, the West Point class of 1969 was having a reunion and a memorial service. And one of the generals from that group came over, met the Vietnamese general at the wall halfway, and they saluted each other. So the work that's going on, you never know one thing that you may do, how it's going to lead you down the road. That veteran with the wallet, I've known him for 35 years. Never knew that until I told him we were going to Vietnam, and we started having lunch and talking. So I know there's a lot of that kind of stuff out there, and now's the time to move on it. You see the photographs over there, that's the Qua Binh Military Cemetery. I explained to them unknowns and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the importance that we stress on the disinterments and the identification of unknowns, and we asked them, did they have unknowns in this cemetery? So they showed us what an unknown grave looks like. It says martyr's grave is the words that are inscribed on that. And then we went around to over 100 and put incense on each of those graves as a sign of respect for them. And in turn, when he came to the wall, he had a sign of respect for our KIAs and MIAs. Finally, that's Mandy. That's Bob's sister. She's the one still waiting, along with 1,574 other families from the Vietnam War waiting for answers. So that poster that Jeannie created has every one of their faces on it. And it's important that we never stop until we get answers. We have to keep this mission alive. And again, there's all kinds of ways to help. Just by talking about it is an example. But I wanted to come here today, give you a rundown on what we've been doing and what our future plans are. And those do include a return trip to Vietnam and also Laos, hopefully sooner rather than later. So